Hello, welcome back again to our series where we're looking at some grappling. So far we've looked at underhooks, overhooks and how we get in against our opponent. So what we're really going to look at today is what happens if I get even closer, and I'm going to start looking at shoulders and necks and what I can do there. One of the things we do tend to talk about is working on the chain. So wherever I make contact with my opponent, it is possible to look at a wrist lock, turning into an elbow lock, turning into a shoulder lock, turning into something where I'm coming into the head. So I can work my way up or down this chain. And that's kind of what we've been looking at so far. Getting in, underhook, overhook is all working on the shoulder. And next thing I'm going to look at the head. So, unlike the head grapple, once you've got it, it's pretty awful for the other person. So, we'll look at that same kind of lead up we've been looking at before. So punch comes in, I'm just going to block that, follow that in as it comes back. And from here, look to get one hand behind my opponent's head. Now, it's quite important how you grab your opponent's head. So I'm going to turn Andrew so you can see the back of his head, which is conveniently shaped so that I can explain this to you. It's the only reason. He's got luscious hair otherwise. Shall I shut up now? Right, okay. So the first thing is I want to make sure there's a bump at the back of the head. I want to make sure I'm on that bump. I don't want to be down on the neck, because I can pull on the neck and Andrew can resist that quite easily. The minute I move up and I'm above that neck muscle and I pull, then Andrew has to come forward. So I want to be, that's the first thing to make sure is I get it high enough, I'm getting the head, not the neck. Second thing, I don't want to, so I'm trying to do this, interlock my fingers. Yeah, that way things get broken, dislocated. One hand on, other hand wrapped on over the top. Yes, so that's the grab I'm looking to get. Once I've got that, I want to clamp my forearm to either side of his head. I think of this much like a nutcracker. You know, not the screwy ones, the clipping ones. So I get here and I try to squeeze his brain out and make his head explode. Yeah? Whilst holding him in this position. So, punch comes out, follow it in, boom, grab the head. Might have to deal with something from that other hand, but as soon as I've done that, I'm grabbing the other side of the head, a squeeze, and then the next bit is I step back and pull his head down to my chest height. From here, there's very little that Andrew can actually do. And if he does, I can just move him about, because he has to follow his head. So as long as I keep his head here, I have pretty much good control over what he's doing. So I'm going to let him back up again so he doesn't go all the blood to his head and pass out on him. So, once I'm in there, there are several things I can do. So if I've got him, sorry, we'll go back in. So if I'm here, the chances are my opponent is going to be trying to pull back up against that. I mean, they can't succeed, but what I can do is let them try a couple of times and then at some point let them go. And as you can see, my hands come straight up and I'm straight into a strike and back down into a clinch again. Then you can use whatever strike you want. Next time he comes up, yeah, elbow, smack, back down again. I can just keep letting him do this. Once I get sick of that, I can either transition to another clinch, you know, come across here. Where else could we go? And once I'm finally sick of him, I just grab one side, twist, and shove. And away he goes. So it gives me quite a lot. See, he's teaching a bit of the class later on, and I know I'm going to get it in return for this one. So that's how I'm dealing with this. And also, once I've got him, there's a whole lot of other stuff I can do. So once I get him here, and he's down here, obviously I've got knees, I can be kicking here. And once I'm happy with this, I can even move into things like chancery, start looking at binding him up here. It's quite a good position to get to, but it is quite difficult to get to. So normally you'll have to work towards it. So it may be the punch comes in, I'm going to block that. As I'm coming in, I'm going to get an overhook whilst dealing with whatever's coming here. From there, that might allow me to get a hand across down here, knee into the side, transfer across, and now I've finally got that headlock that I was actually looking for here. So it's quite a useful one. Once I've got it, I can really rag the person around, I can throw them around, it's easy to transition through, and I can keep striking. Of course, the problem is, I need a way out of it. Because if, I'm sure you'll enjoy this, Andrew, if you want to put me in a headlock, so if I'm down here, so I'm going to move it up just so yeah, brilliant. So if he's here, I can't pull back, yeah? His body weight and positioning is stronger than my back muscles will ever be. And also, as we said, he might then let me pop up and punch me, yeah, boom, and then pull me back down again. So I can't do that. I can try and slip out to the side, but I leave myself so open to any kind of attacks I'm getting out. So, much like a lot of things in martial arts, I have to do what's counterintuitive. So as the headlock grabs me and pulls me in here, I need to go down onto this knee here, which allows me to get my head above my spine again. And now he can pull on that, but I have control again, because I've now got structure. Yeah, and also, conveniently, whatever form of attack I want, I have options here. Yeah, I can need to get the knee, we can turn this into different forms of grappling that we want to. But it's understanding that I need to go forward and down, rather than trying to fight against it. So the attack, if I attack him 10, Andrew follows it in. Try that again. So if I punch, Andrew's going to follow that attack in, boom, it's got my head, I go straight down here. I'm not actually as bad a position as I would have been otherwise. My hands are here, I'm not too worried about that knee, but I can start working on that knee, I quite like it there. I've also got access to the guts, so he's going to let go pretty soon when I just start using him as a punching bag, and then I'm looking to get back up again and back into the fight. So that's the head grab. With the underhooks, overhooks, head grabs. Next week we're going to start looking at how we move between them and how we actually use these in terms of striking. So hopefully you'll find that interesting, and I'm sure Andrew will find somebody else to take his place by next week. So until then, take care, have a good week.